All right, Eric, here we are for departure out of San Jose, Costa Rica. What are our threats on this one?
Well, I came up with a bunch of them. First off, as you know, we're super delayed, so
Yeah,
we're going to need an amendment from dispatch for our new valid time. So we'll make sure we get that before we head out.
okay,
Also, because it's a super late red eye flight, we just really need to make sure we're fit for duty
yeah,
and just take a little bit of extra time to just kind of self analyze and make sure we're doing everything correctly.
yeah,
Um, Also, as you know, I've only been a captain for a year, and I think you said
a
you were
month.
newer.
Yeah,
So let's just slow down, take our time. We'll make sure the gate agent doesn't rush us, and look at all of these items because we got a lot of different
yeah,
threats, like we said.
I'm all on board for that.
Um, Maintenance wise, we got the deferred APU,
Okay,
so we're gonna have to do the engine start with air start unit here at the gate.
yeah,
And then we're going to have to find a good place to do the cross bleed. I'm assuming they'll let us do it shortly after we push, as long as there's nothing
yeah,
behind us.
yeah,
We might have a little bit of a language barrier
okay,
coordinating that, so we'll just take our time and make sure we're
we're
absolutely
clear.
clear with what they want us to do. Also, we're waiting on maintenance to sign off the that ACARS that the inbound crew wrote up. With that, it's contract maintenance here.
Okay,
We'll just have to make sure they signed it off correctly,
properly.
transferred it to the DMI log, gave us a sticker, assuming they defer it, and we'll make sure we get an amendment, another amendment
Okay,
for that from dispatch.
sure.
With that, with our ACARs being in op, we're going to have to do everything manually, including our radio closeout.
Okay,
So we'll take our time with that, and just review everything. We'll get all of the information and just borrow the station manager's phone while we're still here
sure.
at the gate. Make sure we're all squared away
Okay,
with all of our performance data. The clearance, I noticed they gave us the Ramon for departure,
yeah, I saw
whereas we were filed on the POAS.
that. Yeah,
So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. We have a different routing to Lauderdale, so we'll have to double check with dispatch on our fuel load. We're showing 8 minutes extra with everything loaded in there. So we've got enough, but not a ton of extra gas. So we'll check that with dispatch,
okay,
and we'll also get an amendment for our different route there.
okay,
Taxiing out of here, I noticed there are a ton of hot spots.
mm-hmm.
So we'll keep our eyes open. In addition, Alpha is closed all the way down to 7, so it looks like it's going to be a back taxi.
Okay,
So we'll just keep our eyes open there. Make sure there's no traffic inbound.
sure.
Again, just take our time. Um, there's moderate rain. We got a condition code of 5, 5, and 5.
Okay.
So when we call dispatch for the radio closeout, we'll make sure that we let them know that as well.
Yeah, sure.
We're blasting off out of here in an A321, so just keep that in mind. 7.5 pitch awareness on the just rotation out of here, and also the high density altitude airport.
Yeah.
I noticed it's going to be a toga takeoff out of here as well, so something to keep in mind. Chances are, I have a feeling it'll be a PAX off takeoff.
Okay,
With our APU inoperative, it'll be actually turning the PAX off.
great.
So we'll do that as well. Um, there is high terrain. With that being said, since we're before takeoff, I'm going to do this now just because we have such a long list of different threats.
Yeah,
I'm just going to get that one out of the way so I don't forget later on.
yeah, I'm with you.
And there is thunderstorms, so we'll be alert of possible wind shear. We'll have you on radar.
Okay,
For the return, I noticed the winds are too strong to come back in on 2.5. And I'm sorry, on 7.
on 7, yeah.
And
And we're
2.5 we
overweight.
can't do at night.
Yeah.
So unless we need to get this thing on the ground immediately, I'm guessing Managua.
Yeah.
We'll coordinate that with dispatch.
Okay,
And other than that, a threat that we'll have to deal with down the road. It looks okay for now, but we do have the alternate of Orlando due to fog in Lauderdale,
Okay.
Miami.
okay,
But the weather looks okay there.
yeah.
I think that is all I came up with.
That's quite a bit. Okay, all right. I'll add to the when we run the numbers. We'll take a look, but typically, um, what I've seen in my 1 month so far is that Toga forces flaps 3.
Yep.
So just back me up on this. I'm going to go from 3 to 1
Okay.
on the acceleration,
Perfect.
and then from there we'll take it from there. As far as the plan, as you mentioned, we'll taxi to 25 with a bunch of hot spots.
Yep. Runway 7.
Runway 7,
Yep.
excuse me. We're going to taxi to 7 with plenty of hot spots. So it'll be a back taxi at night, late. But once we're there and ready to go, it'll be 9,879 feet of runway
Okay.
RCAM, as you said, reflecting 5, 5, and 5. From there, we're doing the Ramon 4 departure. No speed constraint on this one. We have an altitude of 35,000 and our squawk code here of 0265. If it's an engine out, we have a complex special on this one, so certainly worthy of mentioning here on this departure from runway 7. Before the Tango India Oscar VOR, which I have on the RadNav hard tune with VOR reception on both sides here. What we're going to be looking to do is climb via runway heading, and at 4 DME, then we'll commence a right-hand turn heading of 265, which will take us away from the high terrain. Reaching 4,600 level off to accelerate to green dot and continue the climb. In the takeoff phase, I went ahead and selected 4,600 for the engine at acceleration and altitude. At or after Tango India Oscar VOR and below 9,500, it's a left turn to a heading of 265. And at or above minimum published altitude for intended route, we'll request radar vectors to resume our own navigation. Again, you brought up that threat of the potential language barrier, so when we're getting radar vectors and what have you, any instruction, I'll be very clear on what it is that our instructions are.
Okay.
At or above 9,500, we're going to continue on the SID, and also as part of this, there is that consideration which you mentioned, the reduced thrust takeoff is prohibited, so we talked about that. We have in that secondary off to Managua due to the several considerations, one of which is the tailwind limitation, and the other of which I'll bring up is that overweight landing. Really not too keen on coming back here for anything other than land ASAP red on fire, imminent emergency authority needed to be exercised to come back in. Otherwise, I think we head on off to Managua, and of course we'll coordinate that with dispatch airborne and what have you. Contingencies. Just to reiterate some high emphasis points, we're in a 321 and I've been here for a month. Rotation, I'll go nice and easy and be very mindful of that. Talked pretty well in depth, I believe, on the air return and the engine out procedure. There's some thunderstorms in the area, so I'll be sure to have weather radar on before entering the runway on my side.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got terrain taken care of. I think up to this point, we're just pending this item here for the logbook and the amendment, waiting on that fuel. That pretty well covers it. From my standpoint, you think we need anything else we missed or need to add?
No, I think that covers it. Like you said, we got the 2 amendments for the
Okay.
valid time, and then probably the MEL once we get the logbook back. So we'll just make sure we get all of that, and then we'll take our time with the radio closeout before we push off the gate.
Perfect.
Then we'll run our engine start at the gate, and then cross bleed once we get out there, like we said.
Perfect.
I think that's all I had to add.
That's all I have as well. Sounds good.
All right, good brief.
All right.